Hi, my name is Sky. Um, I am 49 and I wanted to start this as a vlog slash journal. Um, but for those people who are going to have mastectomy, kind of the things they don't tell you. So, I have actually been sick since I was in my early 20s. Um, I was diagnosed with Epstein-Barr in my teens, my late teens. I had had mono, or what they thought was mono. Now they're pretty clear that it was Epstein-Barr because it's still in your system. When you get Epstein-Barr, it stays with you. One of the things that it can do is it can cause autoimmune problems. And for me, that turned into lupus, which turned into sick sinus syndrome, where I have a pacemaker now because when I sleep, my heart rate is 24, and when I'm up, my heart rate is 35. And I'm 5'10", so that's a problem. I was passing out all over the place, and this came years after I was having seizures. I was having extreme migraines. I had a domestic violence situation which sent me flying down 32 concrete stairs, landed on my head, broke my arm and my knee, and spent, 21 days in intensive care, was life flighted, um, but did what I needed to do and got back to work, that kind of stuff. I have psoriatic arthritis. I have AS, which is, I can never say it, but it's ankyloid stenosis or something like that. Anyway, it's destroying my back. I have a port because I have no veins. Um, and I've just, I've, I'm bedridden now. Um, I do my best to get up, packing my house, pardon the background, because I'm packing my house because we're moving. That's a story for another day. Um, but in the process, when got here in Washington State, I got a new doctor, and he wanted, because among other things, I have diabetes and stuff that goes along. I've had a stroke, just all things that go along with having lupus and autoimmune because it piles. It's never just one thing. It piles. Um, and so um, we went ahead and did genetic testing because, like I said, when I was 6, my mom had her double or bilateral massive mastectomy. Um, and that was in Mother's Day of 81. And she was gone October 15th, 1986. So it took her very quickly. She fought. She fought really hard. But when she died, she was only 38. She was in her 20s. So I've been having mammograms since I was 16, 17 years old. Um, I was determined that it wasn't going to be me. I was going to know, the whole nine. So fast forward, after having COVID and everything else, they're like, we really want to get some genetic testing done. Okay. So I had the genetic testing done, and one of the things that they figured out was that I had BRCA3. Now, most people know about BRCA1 and BRCA2. BRCA3, or what they're calling BRCA3, it's not actually, it's like PAMEL or something like that. But anyway, what it is I have an extremely high risk of breast, ovarian, and pancreatic cancer. Now, I had a partial hysterectomy, removing my tubes and my ovaries. I was already in menopause. I'd had my tubes tied since I was in my 20s, and it it wasn't supposed to be a big deal. Let's just say that. If there's a 1% side effect that could possibly happen, I'm the one that's going to get it. Um, and so they did this testing, um, and because of that, I am on March 1st going to have a bilateral mastectomy. Now, the reason it's not called a massive mastectomy is because I'm not having my lymph nodes removed. I did, however, upon last mammogram, last two mammograms, on my left side, I have what they are calling um, a growth. We'll know after surgery whether it's a growth or whether it's more serious than that. But there's nothing that they can do about my pancreas or, anything like that yet, due to the fact that I have diabetes and it's out of control. They've had me on metformin for a couple of years now. It's not working. And then the other part of that is that metformin messes with your kidneys. I never wanted to go on metformin because before I was on Januvia, because my kind of diabetes is steroid induced. Because when you have lupus and everything is being affected, they tend to give you a lot of steroids, and steroids can cause diabetes, and that's where mine comes in. So for the past few months, my doctors have been like, there's no point in us doing this partial hysterectomy if you don't go ahead and have the mastectomy. And I was not excited about that in the least little bit. I literally was like, okay, I'm going to freak out. There was a point when I guess I was 9, maybe 10, and I was having a conversation with my mom. She had had a hysterectomy. She had had the mastectomy. And due to her chemo and radiation, she lost her hair. And she had beautiful, and I do mean beautiful hair. And when she lost her hair, she said, I don't even know what makes me a woman anymore. And I didn't understand it then because, 9. I get it now. I have an amazing person in my life, and he's told me many times, I love your breasts, but I don't love you because of your breasts. Which helps, but it helps, but I'm still scared. I'm afraid that I'm going to get abandoned or left. So far, we're doing pretty good. He's been my rock. We've been friends since 2014, so going on 10 years. I don't know what I would be doing without him. And then, also my sister. She's helped me through a lot of this. But there are things, and that's part of what I wanted to do this for. There are things that you don't get told by the doctors when planning a mastectomy. They're like, great, we're going to do the mastectomy. In my case, they were like, you're probably going to have 4 drains instead of 2. I am a 46 triple D. So in one fell swoop, I'm going to lose 50 pounds on top of the 30 that I just lost, and nobody knows why. I didn't do anything, didn't change anything. Yeah. I'm scared. I'm not going to lie. But if I'm having problems coming to terms with this, and not just coming to terms with it, but also accepting what my body's going to look like. I actually preemptively started meeting with a tattoo artist in Seattle. People come from all across the United States to see his work and or to get work done by him. He specializes in 3D nipples, which for those people who get reconstruction, and a lot of times, and a lot of people don't know this, reconstruction, they won't replace your nipple. So you have breasts, but you don't have that nipple or areola, and that's what Eric specializes in at Fine Line. And he also does the most beautiful mastectomy tattoos. He knows how to work with scar tissue. He's been doing it for over 30 years. And so for me, it was very important to me, very important, that I have a way to change and take control back once I lose my breasts. And we're going to do a large chest piece, which is going to include my mother's story along with mine. And yeah, I am going to do a big chest piece that's going to have roses and ribbons and fairies and rose vine, and we'll be filming that so that people can see what the process is. I have tattoos. I have this piece, which was 3 hours, pretty big piece. I'm Wiccan, and it's the calling of the four corners. So it's earth, wind, fire, and air, or earth, wind, fire, and water. Sorry, it's very early. So yeah. So what I want to do is kind of go over some of the things. I'm going to go over what I've packed for my hospital bag. I'm waiting on a few things to get here from Amazon. Hopefully they'll get here before surgery, because one of them is very, very important. Well, two of them, because I need something to wear. It's more and more common for women below the age of 40. Now, I'm 49, but below the age of 40 to be diagnosed with breast cancer, to have these genetic tests done, and then preemptively have hysterectomies and mastectomies. It's more and more common. There's a lot of people who are like, I lived through my mom or my dad or my grandma being sick, and I don't want to go through that. And that played into my decisions a lot. I didn't want to go through what my mom went through. My mom, bless her heart, she was on her own. And it's a recurring theme throughout her life. So, yeah. And, they never warned her what she was going to need. Back then, you stayed in the hospital for a week or longer, depending. My mom stayed a bit longer because when they removed the tape that they taped her up with, she was highly allergic, and they peeled all of her skin off the front and the back. I helped my mom a lot. My dad left in June. So she had her mastectomy Mother's Day of 81, and he left by June. They had a really bad marriage, and he was already seeing somebody at that point. And so Mom was working for LPNL in Louisiana, which is where I'm from. She was a key punch operator, and they loved her. And she would go on her lunch break, quite literally, and have either chemo or radiation and then go back to work. So by the time she got home to us, she was obviously feeling awful because, again, this is the 80s and chemo and radiation, vastly different. The way that they treated cancer back then. Um, you practically died from the treatments, which isn't helpful. But I remember many times her trying to help me with my spelling or homework or anything. And she would be on our couch with an Afghan that my great grandmother had made for her. And she would pass out. And I had a strawberry shortcake mirror. And I used to put it under her nose just to make sure she was still alive. We went to go, when I was 9, we went to go live with my grandparents. There's a long history of verbal, emotional, and other abuse in that house. And they were horrible. When she called and said she couldn't take care of us anymore and she needed to come home, that her doctors had said it was time and that she wasn't going to make it. And they said, we'll have to call you back. I have 3 sons. If any of them called me and said, I have nowhere to go, there would be no question. It would be, you come home right now. So yeah, at one point, because she wanted some privacy, because she was trying on wigs, and she didn't want the whole world seeing her bald head, she had locked her bedroom door to do that and to have some privacy. And they took her door off the hinges. You know, did they love her? Yes. Was their way of showing her that they loved her misguided? Yes. These are people who, my grandmother in particular, at one point we were arguing, I don't know about what, but I was that kid that would be like, you're not doing that to my mom. And I got told that if I had a daughter like you, I'd be dying too. So, I just feel like my whole life, mine and my mom's life, has been intertwined. She had a son and was one of the girls that was forced into these Mary Magdalene homes, I think is what they were called, or unwed mothers' homes. And he was taken from her. There was no option. There was no, hey, we've got services, we'll help you. No, that wasn't it. It was, you will give up this child and then you will come back and live your life as if it never happened. And that was not possible. It was a good 20 years after she died before anybody bothered to tell me that I had a brother. And then a couple years ago, was it 2 years ago now? I think it's been 2 years. My sister found him. I have not met him yet. I talked to him on the phone. And he's an amazing person. And I think Mom would have adored him. I think that she's probably pretty happy that we found him and that we have him in our lives. But yeah. It seems like so much. I had a child at 19. He just turned 30. He's lived with my father since he was 6. He is not only special needs, but incredibly rare. So they had never seen it before. He has 18q minus. At 2.5, they told me he would not live to see 3. He would never walk. He would never talk. He would never know us. And I remember sitting and telling the geneticist, okay. Because at the time, the child, he had quite a few words in sign language. They started teaching him sign language at 6 weeks old when he started going to ECIC. He knew how to run our VCR, took my VCR apart on multiple occasions because it wasn't working right. um, he's a Special Olympian. He works. He graduated high school with a diploma because he's just that smart. And he's loved. They live in, Kentucky, and he, works at a place that hires folks who have intellectual disabilities, and then he also worked for fast food. And a lot of the girls and stuff that, a lot of the students that he went to high school with, they all know him. And they're like, Devin, Devin. So, um, yeah, he's a really special kid. But had I known that my mom went through the same thing, um, I think that it would have helped me in a lot of ways. Um, my early 20s, I was really sick. In my 30s, I got worse. And now my 40s, if I thought I was sick before, I had no clue. Just none. I am on so many meds. And so that's been hard. I literally cannot function without my muscle relaxants and my Lyrica. And post-surgery, I will have pain meds. Normally, I handle my pain with CBD and THC edibles and topicals. When I buy, pot, I buy it to make pot butter, and then we cook with it and make candy with it, and saves me a lot of money. So there will be a lot of that after surgery. I get an infusion once a month, every 4 weeks. They have to do it on slow because I'm allergic, and it's for my back, among other things. It also tamps down my immune system so that my body is not constantly attacking itself, because that's literally what lupus is. Lupus is where your body is allergic to itself. So when something new happens in your body goes, whoa, 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 what's happening? And then you wind up, doing all that good stuff. So things happen. And for me, it seems like I will have a major symptom for a year, and then it'll disappear, and we don't know why. That happened with me with my diabetes the first time. I had been taking Januvia, and it went away. And they're like, okay, you don't have to take this anymore. And then it came back after I had COVID, because they did more steroids, lots of steroids. And with my infusions, I get steroids each time because I have a mild allergic reaction to my infusion. And in fact, I will be going to have an infusion the week after surgery. That's what my rheumatologist wants. We'll see what my doctor says, but I'm going to schedule it either way. It's hard, and it's scary. And I know that there's other people out there that are going through the same thing as me. And they're not getting the appropriate information. I went down the rabbit hole when I got told your surgery is going to be March 1st last week. And I was like, what? I'm packing, like I'm moving on the 31st. What? Um, but we went ahead and decided, no, we're gonna move forward. Um, my roommate is my care provider, and then I also have an additional care provider who comes in 1 day a week to do housekeeping and things like that. She's going to be helping me pack because I'm not going to be able to lift anything. So I am breaking my neck trying to get everything done. Normally, my background does not look like this, um, boxes and things, um, because I'm quite literally packing, and have been every day. I have a doctor's appointment here in a little bit, and so, you know, my morning is shot. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start this today. Um, but yeah, you know, my two youngest boys, because of their dad and stepmom, I don't have a relationship with. Um, but I do with my Devon. And, you know, I, uh, I worry. I have not told Devon, will not tell Devon, um, about this surgery because all he'll do is worry and freak out, and I don't want that. Um, so yeah, so I'm gonna be posting every day. I'll post going to the hospital and being in the hospital and being released and then coming home and what I'm going through because I think that that would be useful. At least I hope it will. I also love to read, and I thought about doing booktube and book talk. But I think what I'm going to do is share the books that I'm reading through all of these. Um, I finished When We Were Villains, or If We Were Villains. Amazing. I love dark academia, so yeah. And history. A lot of Philippa Gregory on my Audible because I love Bianca D'Amato, who voices a lot of her books. But I'm currently reading The Girls Who Went Away, and it's all about girls and women like my mom because I'm trying to better understand. Um, I completed Spare, amazing book, and I'll talk about that at a later date. I'm bringing The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo with me. Um, and in between reading um, The Girls Who Went Away, I'm also reading The Secret Histories. So I was excited to get that book. Um, and yeah, so I love to read. And um, so you're going to get some of that on here. But it's mostly, I read things to either A, distract me from what's going on, or B, to educate myself. So yeah, um, that's going to be what we're going to be doing. Um, and I just, if you're going through planning for a mastectomy, or if you've had a mastectomy, um, you know, I hope that this reaches you if you're planning, because there are things that no one tells you, um, like needing things to hold your drains. Um, there are people who are making a mint off of these supplies and things that people need. And then there are people who are not, who are doing this, you know. Um, a lot of the stuff that you're going to find, though, is literally going to be, um, it's literally going to be handmade, um, because there's not a lot of companies out there that are handling the things that need to be handled. Um, so yeah, so um, like I said, that's what we're going to be going over, and I wanted to introduce myself some so that you get to know me, and then I will be talking to you. Um, and hopefully this will reach someone who's scared like me or in need like me. Um, and I can help what they're going to be going through. So